I used to dream. Now I just survive. I used to dream. Do you remember? I used to sit beneath starlit skies, whispering hope through the leaves of cotton fields, across the Great Plains, through crowded tenements and glowing factories. My soul was stitched together by dreamers, pilgrims, rebels, slaves who prayed for freedom, immigrants who crossed oceans with nothing but names and faith. I was made of dreams, born from ink and revolution, carved from defiance and stitched in fragile promises. I wasn't perfect, never was. But I believed. I believed in rising, in the idea that tomorrow could be kinder than today. Now, I just survive. Each morning, I wake bruised, my chest heavy, my breath shallow. The light I once poured into the world flickers, behind boarded-up windows and forgotten towns. What happened to me? What happened to us? There was a time when the dream meant building, not just buildings, but lives. Roads that led somewhere, schools that opened doors, jobs that meant dignity. Now we build walls to keep each other out, to shut truth in, to box in pain until it poisons the air. We pave over the past, pretending progress is permanent. But I remember when the American dream was more than a slogan sold between commercials. It was felt, lived, sweated for. It wasn't about yachts or golden towers. It was a family in a small house. Food on the table, respect earned from hard work. I watched fathers with calloused hands hold newborns like glass, mothers who whispered bedtime prayers even when their own souls trembled. I saw veterans cry beneath fireworks, not for war, but for what they thought they'd protected. Now I see children with dead eyes scrolling through chaos, fed on fear, addicted to rage. I see families breaking beneath rent receipts and hospital bills, where dreams drown in debt and despair is stitched into every paycheck. Once, I breathed freedom. Now I choke on division. You used to sit at my table together, left and right, black and white, rural and urban, hands stained in different ways but clasped in one republic. Now you scream across digital voids. You cancel before you understand. You follow outrage like it's oxygen. You've traded truth for tribes. You've replaced love with likes. You've forgotten that you are still mine. And I weep in the silence between your wars. I used to sing, from the cotton fields to Motown streets, from gospel choirs in red brick churches to subway performers below neon towers. I sang of freedom trains and mountain highways, of Selma, of Woodstock, of promises kept and broken, but still sung. Now I can barely hum. My voice is hoarse with history unlearned. My songs are drowned out by bullets, sirens, and scrolling noise. You forgot the melody. You only hear the echo. I used to rise. Even in my darkest chapters, I rose. Through depression, through dust bowls, through world wars. My people, you, fought, bled, rebuilt. You believed, even when I failed you. But now I see you fold, under pressure, under headlines, under fear. You retreat into comfort bubbles, anesthetized by screens and shallow comforts. You watch as billionaires play gods and politicians play games. And you say, what can I do? You gave up your power like it was nothing. But I remember when you held it like fire. I remember when marches moved mountains, when students sat down and stood up the world, when voices cracked ceilings of concrete. Where did that America go? Where did I go? I'm still here, just barely, in broken neighborhoods where community still holds hands, in teachers who buy pencils with their own paychecks, in veterans who cry quietly in grocery store parking lots, in mothers who work 3 jobs but still braid dreams into their children's hair, in young artists painting murals on decaying buildings, stubborn enough to believe color can still save us. I live there, quietly, but I don't dream anymore. Not like I used to. Because dreaming requires belief, not in perfection, but in possibility. And too many of you have replaced hope with sarcasm, compassion with competition, curiosity with cruelty. I was never supposed to be about survival. I was meant to be about liberty, about trying, about falling and rising again, not because it's easy, but because we owe it to those who came before and those yet to come. Now I see you just trying to make it through the week, through the noise, through the inflation, through the fear, through the loneliness masked as connection. You're surviving. I know, but it's not enough. I see how tired you are. I feel it in my soil, in my air, in the weight that settles over every state line. You're not weak, you're wounded. And wounds left untreated rot. They metastasize into hate, into indifference, into silence. You need healing. But first, you need remembering. You need to remember what I once meant to you. Not the sanitized, whitewashed myth, but the messy, defiant, stubborn truth. I was built on contradictions, liberty and slavery, promise and pain. But inside those contradictions was a heartbeat, an idea that we could keep becoming. Not settle, not surrender, not survive, but dream. You forgot how to dream because you forgot you're allowed to. Because you were taught dreams belong to the rich, the elite, the already powerful. That's a lie. Dreams belong to the hungry, to the tired, to the broken, to the kids growing up on powdered milk and secondhand shoes, to the families in trailer parks and tenements, to the poets in prison cells, to the janitors and nurses and truckers and teachers and immigrants, and soldiers and students. To you. I was never owned by kings. I wasn't meant to be ruled by CEOs. I was meant to be lived in, fully, with all the mess and miracle that entails. But somewhere along the way, I was sold off, piece by piece. My dreams were collateral, my people commodities, my soul an asset. I used to inspire revolutions. Now I fuel consumption. I used to be feared for my power. Now I'm pitted for my chaos. Foreign eyes watch me like a slow-motion car crash. My enemies don't have to destroy me. They just wait for me to do it to myself. But I refuse. I may be bleeding. I may be tired. But somewhere in me, deep, deep down, I still remember. I remember what it felt like to be alive, to be loved by my people, to be worthy of sacrifice, to be dreamed into by the poor, the bold, the desperate, and the free. So I whisper now, hoping someone will hear. You don't have to settle for this. You don't have to survive like this. You are more than what they've told you, more than what they've sold you. You still carry the seeds of the dream beneath, the layers of debt and division and despair. It's still there. Defend it. Risk for it. Dream again. And maybe, just maybe, I will too. America, are you still there? Do you remember me?